Let's see. Yep. Okay. It is very late. I apologize for that. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2025 at 5:20 p.m. Again, sorry about that. And here we are in Fallout 76. Alright, so let's get some quick stuff out of the way before getting into this. So I'm on the verge of finishing the Fallout 4 video covering Wilson Automatoys. I'm hoping to do that actually either later this evening or early tomorrow morning. Once that's done, I can post that thing, and it'll be out basically as soon as it's processed. So, not something where you'll have to wait till 8 a.m. the next day or whatever. So, that's what I'm going to be doing here later, and again tomorrow morning if I don't finish it in the next few hours. So, other than that, let's see. Oh, we can talk about what has won the poll for Fallout 76's content. Give me 1 second. You know that's how bees work, right? You shoot once through the swarm and they're all dead. Alright, let's take a look. I know it won the Discord poll, but I'm going to give you the exact vote tally, and then I'll check the Patreon one. Okay, there it is. Alright, 2 votes for Gleaming Depths, 1 for Blue Ridge Caravan Company. So, Discord votes Discord votes Gleaming Depths. Let's check the Patreon poll. 1 moment. I got 1 vote for Senator Sam Blackwell, 1 vote for Blue Ridge Caravan Company, and 1 vote for Gleaming Depths. So, overall tallies are, using the weighted formula, we have 2 for Senator Sam Blackwell, 3 for the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, and 4 for Gleaming Depths. So, I'll be doing Gleaming Depths, and again, I have not experienced the content yet, so if that turns out to be an enormous amount of content, that'll be the only video. If not, it'll be Gleaming Depths followed by the Blue Ridge Caravan Company Part 2. So, that's what to look forward to for the rest of this month. Again, the last lore video for last month will be out either today or tomorrow, so I'll be using the rest of the month to work on either one or both of those videos. Alright, so, other housekeeping stuff real quick. Oh yeah, I told you all last time, but I actually got the product now. I've become a G Fuel affiliate, and so I got some of this stuff to try it, to make sure that I could actually endorse something, and I do like it, so there you go. I do like G Fuel. Again, if you want to support the channel, if you want to get a discount on G Fuel, you can use my code iCartographer, and you can end up getting a discount for yourself, and it does benefit the channel as well. So if you're looking for some way to benefit the channel and get something out of it for yourself, that's another way to do it right there. Speaking of which, drinking some right now.
This is going to make for a great story next time I'm at the Wayward.
Okay, along with that, in terms of other personal stuff, those of you who've been following me for a while know I've been working on my car for a while. I am fairly certain tomorrow I will either be finishing my car or discovering that I need a new car. So, one way or the other, it's going to be good. People on my Discord saw pictures of the car with the head off the other day. The engine, I mean, with the head off. So, they know exactly how deep into this I've been getting. And most of it's reassembled now, but I'm waiting on the last few parts and tools. So, tomorrow I will either be assembling it and celebrating my victory or lamenting my defeat.
It's hard work
So
making
it's
a living
big
out
day
here.
tomorrow. Okay, and then immediately after I finish that kind of stuff, I'll be getting into Gleaming Depths. So, I hope you all have been having a good week. The Wilson Automatoy stuff, thank you ADHD Queen. It's nerve-wracking, but it's also very exciting because it's the most work I've ever done on this car, and most work I've done on any car. So, but again, I hope you all have been having a good week and have a good weekend coming up ahead. The Wilson Automatoy stuff was interesting to go over again. It's been a long time since I've encountered that content. And just seeing the different ways you can interact with Arlen Glass and learn his story, both through all the terminal entries, notes, and holotapes, but then along with that, just some of it coming directly from his own mouth in terms of his history. So, it's interesting. I know they can be non-violent. It's just always strange to see when you haven't directly been involved in the quest over at the Agricultural Research Center. So, one last thing on G Fuel real quick is that still need to iron out the last of the details, but it looks like I'll probably be able to do a giveaway of G Fuel on October 23rd, Fallout Day, and it'll be their Nuka-Cola flavor. So if you're interested in that, I very well could be able to give out tubs of the stuff. It won't be like an enormous amount. It'll only be, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3. Regardless, I'll be able to give away some tubs of the flavor. And so what I'll be doing is setting up basically an opportunity to win. And then I'm still working out exactly how to do it. I might run a random number generator or something like that. Whatever it is, I have to make sure and share it with the people at G Fuel so that they know that it's fair. So there's no chance that I will be gaming the system for anybody in particular. I'm considering the way to do that, to do this whole thing, to be doing something like a 3-hour stream on Fallout Day. Again, if you're unaware, it's October 23rd. It's a Thursday this year, a couple weeks from now. Well, 3 weeks from now. It's the 3rd today. 1 day under 3 weeks from now. Again, I'll iron out some more details about that, but just keep that in mind. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, that's what to look forward to there for that kind of stuff. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot of news actually in Fallout 76 this week because they were finally able to get past the what's it called? Blackout? News blackout? What's the proper term for that? Whatever it is. They had an event for Fallout content creators, Fallout 76 specifically, content creators in New York City. They invited a bunch of people to come watch the new content, which is all about the new region that they're going to be adding to the game called Burning Springs. Burning Springs is Ohio, effectively, a big chunk of Ohio. From what I've seen of the map, it basically takes up this entire section that's just kind of green right now on the left side of the map, basically running from down here all the way up here. And it will include Walton Goggins' character, the Ghoul. He will somehow be out there in Ohio. Now, I don't have a huge issue with him being there, but I am definitely going to be wanting to know exactly why he's there and all that kind of stuff, because it's one of those things where the way they've shown him in the ads, he looks a lot like the Ghoul of the 2290s, and so I'm just interested to see whether or not they give a good justification as to why he's the same character as he is in the 2290s in 2105, and what he's doing in Ohio. So open YouTube to have something running in the background while I play Fallout 76. There you go. Yeah, both playing Fallout 76. Of course, I'm playing on my Fallout world, which is why I'm able to jump as high as I am, and why I'm able to do all kinds of damage without losing any bullets. The one thing that I've always kind of wished was a little bit better in Fallout 76, and they've done this better than they've done it in other games, I'll say that, is view distance is not great. And it's one of those things that's especially noticeable when you look through a scope. Like, you look at that power pylon right there, and I get it, because effectively they're having to render the entire world around you here. And so they've got the distant versions of these items. It's something that you really encounter when you're playing Fallout 4 and end up with some sort of glitch. I've never experienced this specific glitch with Fallout 76. But where I've had it actually happen a lot at the quarry that's just outside of Concord. Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Thicket Excavations. Where effectively the long distance texture will load over the local texture. And so you will still see the long distance texture of the top, and it makes it basically impossible to see where you're going inside of the actual quarry, because you're seeing nothing but the long distance one over everything. So yeah, again, that's my one real complaint when you're looking at like distant stuff. Again, I think they did a better job than they've done in the past, but I'm hoping that in the future we'll have better long distance views in all of Bethesda's games, really. I think the game that, like, and obviously this is a game that did graphics amazing across the board, but one of the games that does it incredibly well is Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, obviously, they have far fewer things to render specifically in the distance. You're able to basically see really, really long way, but at the same time, most of what you're seeing is trees, rocks, that kind of stuff, you know? It's not the same sort of thing where you can see the top of the world up there, for example, or the Monongah power plant off in the distance, off in that direction. So, definitely, this game has more things that you need to render in the distance with more realism, but again, they did a great job over there. And I do wonder how that's going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. So we'll see exactly what they do there. Of course, I'm not sure if I'm going to get that game at launch. I generally like to play everything on the PC.
Don't get it confused.
And while I have an Xbox Series X, I don't really know if I want to pay for Grand Theft Auto 6 twice. So, we'll see. Speaking of Xbox, they also had their fun week this week, where they decided that they were going to announce a 50% price increase on Game Pass, which I am always amazed when I see the people online defending massive trillion-dollar companies from people being annoyed. I'm not going to name names here, but I saw this one guy that was like, you guys pay $50 a month for Twitter. It's like, okay, who's paying $50 a month for Twitter? What are you talking about? And he's like, why are you complaining about all this money for the extra money for Xbox Game Pass? Yeah, canceled it so fast. It's a 50% increase, first of all. That by itself is enough to just be ridiculous. But then there's all the other stuff that they bundled into that whole thing that's just, it's ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Microsoft has in the past been said, at least this is my understanding, I may have misunderstood what they were saying, or maybe it was just hearing the corporate speak, but my understanding from Microsoft was that Game Pass was profitable. Now, maybe it wasn't, but again, that was always the thing that basically everyone seemed to be saying about it and stuff like that, which either it is profitable and this is a blatant cash grab, or it's not profitable and they've basically been misleading people the entire time, and this is their way of trying to correct for it. Now, they're not, like, people who do the money stuff in corporate America are not stupid people, so I'm sure they saw there being a backlash to this 50% increase, so I wouldn't be surprised if they built it into the cost. Something where it's like, okay, well, we'd be profitable at, I don't know, if we go from $15 to $22.50, but at the same time, if we increase it to $30 a month, then we'll actually get a slight increase despite the fact that we'll lose significantly more subscribers. But yeah, $360 a year is a lot to spend on a service. So, and it's one of those things where it's like, I'm personally looking to start cutting back on streaming services because I've let them balloon quite a bit. I mean, it's one of those things where you start off with just Netflix, then you get Hulu, then Prime, then Peacock, and HBO Max, and Paramount, and all these other services. They had made it another tier and included Fortnite Crew and Ubisoft. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is they're including a whole bunch of Ubisoft games, but they're like, guys, it's all these Ubisoft games. It's like, okay, here's the thing. A lot of the games that you're advertising are games that people already purchased. So it's not like it's the newest Ubisoft games. At least this is my understanding. It's basically legacy Ubisoft games, and the newest games are not necessarily the ones that are on Game Pass. So, anyway. Who is that out there? Looks like settlers. Oh, that must be a specific event. We got a group leader followed by 4 additional settlers. That is pretty damn good, actually. Do you have to shake it occasionally? I will say that. But, yeah. I actually am enjoying the G Fuel. Alright, what else? So, yeah, that's the big stuff with Xbox. I already got mad about Nintendo last time. There's no updates on that as far as I know. They're still being anti-consumer and anti-game industry, generally speaking. In terms of more Bethesda stuff, I've heard nothing on Elder Scrolls. I've heard nothing on Starfield. Really want to hear more on Starfield. But yeah, it's nice to get something out of them on Fallout 76. Big map expansion from what I've seen. Interesting new characters there to meet. The Rust King, I believe, is the name of the big bad there. He's a sentient super mutant that is not a good one. Like, not a good person. If you watched the Inside the Vault, they basically talked about how they've got this general rule that they've been following where if the super mutants are of the more sentient variety, they typically are nicer. People like Gale, for example. No, I'm not also live on Twitch right now. I've got a Twitch channel. I have not streamed there in a long time. I know I probably should do some sort of dual casting thing. Speaking of that kind of thing. When I was doing the onboarding stuff for G Fuel, it was like, oh, you didn't include your Instagram and TikTok. It's like, oh, yeah, I don't do that. I know I'm probably one of the few people out there that does this kind of thing that does not do that kind of stuff. I also generally don't make shorts and stuff like that, partly because I find that shorts are... I mean, and there are other people that do this, so obviously if I were to look a little more deeply into it, I could probably do it. I find that shorts are a strange thing to do for someone who does long-form content. But at the same time, I also have kind of a philosophical objection to shorts. In the same reason that I generally don't like TikTok as much, and also don't really like it how if you stick to X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, you can basically just do the whole doom scrolling thing and end up having like hundreds of videos go past you, and basically not really recall almost any of them, and most of them are junk. You might find one or two good ones in the mix there. I don't know. I generally don't appreciate that kind of thing as much as I like just watching proper videos and stuff like that. And I am somebody who believes that that kind of stuff does kind of destroy your what's it called, attention span. So I don't have any objection to Twitch, generally speaking. But yeah, that's just getting onto other social services was my point there. I will always love Charleston, especially just all the story that you get from the way they built the entire city here. Flooded on Christmas Day. Got all the Christmas lights up in the Capitol building. The dam that was bombed up here. Yeah. What's it called? Attention span. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've damaged my attention span enough. I already know that. I've got such a tendency to play games while watching something that I associate the game with the thing that I'm watching. And like sometimes I'll find myself sitting here at my desk. I've got a TV up there. My wife will be watching something, and so I'll occasionally be looking up at it. Meanwhile, I've got something going on the computer, and I've got my phone in my hand. So I've got literally 3 things going on at once. So, yeah. Yeah. No, I did not do that deliberately. Yeah, I used to read a lot more, and I definitely don't do that. Not like I used to. It's definitely been a problem that I personally have experienced, so it's one of those things where if I can try to avoid increasing the issue for both myself and for other people, I'm going to try to do that. I have actually made a short, but I can't remember if I ever ended up publishing it or not. I know it was originally too long for the original format of the short, because it ended up being like 1 minute and 30 seconds or something like that. I think you can do up to 3 minutes now. But basically what it was an animated version of the last communication between, and by animated I mean like I put stuff on the screen. I wasn't drawing it. Of the last communication between Elizabeth Taggarty and Roger Maxon. It was basically just showing the issues, like both from both of their views in terms of relying on outsiders and the Scorch Beast becoming a problem more and more by the day, and the fact that they knew that the satellites were going to go down, they weren't going to be able to talk anymore and stuff like that. So, yeah, again, I basically made a short out of that, but I don't know. I will definitely say, and this is, I know, I personally don't count this as reading, but I do think that it is I think that it's a worthy substitute if you want to get the information, but it's definitely not the same thing as actually doing it. But audiobooks, I don't count that as reading, but at the same time, if you're looking to get the information out of a book, and it's I think it is also a good way to have stories told. So it's one of those things where I remember some of my best memories growing up are of my parents reading to me, you know? And so it's one of those things where I feel like having a book read to you is a great way to do it, especially with like some of the ones where you've got the what's the proper way to put it? The reader, I guess. I don't know. Where they basically are capable of doing an amazing number of voices. I've talked about this a little bit over the past few weeks, but I did the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and I did that entirely via audiobook. And Jeff Hayes, the reader of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, does amazing work. Like over the course of the books, there's a few additional readers that he's got in there, but he does 99% of the voices, and in both male and female, he does incredibly. It's very good. So beyond the quality of the story involved there, which I enjoy quite a bit, if you've never encountered Lit RPG, or RPG Lit, I can't remember what the proper one is there. Regardless, it's basically doing video games as a book. It's kind of a way to do it. He does amazing work there. So beyond the story being good, he also does an amazing job in his performance. So. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I used to be the kind of person that could sit up and read an entire book, from like start to finish over the course of a day. But I definitely... And part of it is also... and it's part of the reason why I make videos, is that I got to an age where I'd be sitting there playing a game, reading a book, doing something, whatever it was, and I'd be thinking, how is this productive? Like, what am I doing? Like, how is this in any way something that will create something that will stand the test of time, where there will be any sign that anything here was done to begin with? And honestly, that's a big reason as to why I started making videos, was like, it's like, yeah, I can learn the story of something, but if I just learn it myself and I don't ever share it with anybody, then what's the point overall? And so in making the videos, I both learn the thing, and then I also get to tell the story, and hopefully people can have use out of that for quite some time to come. So... AVR Medical right there. Home to the Scorched Plague Inoculation Program. Charleston Train Yard. Love a little bit of storytelling here, where they've got the Liberator robots that came down the rail line from from Morgantown. Let's see if there's anything else that I've been thinking about that's been in the news. Not a lot. Okay, so I can give you all a little bit of advice here if you're ever working on a car. And this is nothing technical or anything like that. It's just in terms of getting parts and stuff like that. Amazon is great for most things. At least that's what I found. I've got a 14-year-old car. It was built in 2011 that I've been working on. And yet, despite that, I can still find most of the parts for the car on Amazon. But the one area where they've got a severe deficit is with bolts, fasteners in general. So I will say that if you're going to do something where you need fasteners, and that's the case with a few things, I've learned about torque-to-yield bolts, which is something I never knew about before. Basically, they're one-use bolts to where you torque them down to their limit, and then you torque them even further, and it ends up basically locking the fastener in there even harder. But it's so much so that it actually causes physical damage to the bolt, and so you can't use it a second time. So specifically in this case, like the crankshaft pulley bolt is a torque-to-yield bolt. So again, Amazon has been great for getting anything I need in terms of water pumps, which I've had to buy multiple because the gasket, it's not sold separately, so I had to buy a $13 water pump with little plastic impeller so I could get the little rubber gasket that I needed because the original gasket got shredded. Sorry, I'm gonna have to fast travel here. But I'm trying to think, what's the other stuff that I got there? Thermostat. I got a new radiator. So again, they're great for parts, but the fasteners, they generally either don't have a lot of them or they're mislabeled, or you look for one thing and they try to sell you something else entirely. Now, again, they generally do a pretty good job of like, oh yes, this will fit your car. But just because something fits your car doesn't mean it's actually the bolt you were searching for. For example, I bought a crankshaft bearing bolt when I was trying to buy a crankshaft pulley bolt, and I was searching for one, and I didn't notice the fact that it said bearing, and so I bought that one. So, oh, and also, if you sometimes need a bolt, you can just go to a place that sells just bolts. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the automotive bolt. Now, there are definitely differences in terms of materials. I wish you could turn off that thing where it does the automatic reading.
abandoned energy plant WV-06
I'm really not
has
far
suffered a
enough for that to
critical
shut off.
failure. Hazmat teams are en route. Please remain indoors and await further instructions.
Okay. So, yeah, I needed to find water pump bolts because I accidentally sheared 2 heads off of them out of the 5. And so I just found a place that sells bolts, and I found bolts that met the same specifications. They just aren't aluminum, so I made sure to buy plain carbon steel with a zinc coating rather than stainless. I want to do stainless, but the expansion properties between stainless and aluminum are so different. And also there's the problem with apparently aluminum and stainless can kind of gum up if you use them together. So anyway, you can sometimes just buy bolts if you need them that way. So anyway, that's my last little bit of real world advice when it comes to automotive stuff right there. Let's follow this rail line here for a little while. So yeah, again, if I do have the time, I will be doing both Gleaming Depths and the video on, what's the other topic? Blue Ridge Caravan Company Part 2, which that one actually might be quite a bit. Let's see. So Blue Ridge Caravan Company 2 will include the Blue Ridge Bunkhouse, their new holdings up here, like Mid-Mountain Pit Stop, and of course the operations that they have taking place down here in Skyline Valley. I'll have to look into them a little bit more because I'm sure that there's something I'm not thinking of there. There's been quite a bit actually added to the Blue Ridge Caravan Company over the past few years since I did the last video on them. So I would want to make sure that I don't miss any of that stuff, but I will definitely make sure that if, again, assuming that Gleaming Depths doesn't take up the entirety of my time, I will go back and I'll work on that. Okay, and one other thing I'll say about the Burning Springs update that they've got coming. First of all, they're saying that this is the biggest update since 2020, which I believe 2020's update was Wastelanders. Yeah, so that's big. Because if you don't remember the game before Wastelanders, there were no NPCs. Well, there were a few NPCs, but very, very rare. And actual, like, living humans, there were none. But effectively what they're doing, again, is adding that section of Ohio over there. From what I've seen on the map, it looks a bit more desertous. I've been trying to generally avoid learning too much about it. I kind of want to go into it a little bit fresh. The fun thing, though, is that I have seen people note that there are some real-world towns over there, so more towns that I can cover in the series that I do on covering independent towns that exist both in the real world and within the Fallout universe. So that'll be fun. But yeah, it'll be a bit desertous. And again, it's this entire section of the map here that's currently green. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any remnants of the responders forces over here. So I'm hearing something going on. I've got a dog and maybe 2 cats in here. I've got at least 1 dog. I get the dog and 1 cat in here. I'm not sure if the other one's doing something. This is an interesting little site right here. Site where the fire breathers went in to attempt to take care of these mole miners and found themselves overwhelmed. Let's head down this way. It's one of those, this is the story of this spot actually leads me to question when it is that the mole miners emerged into the world. Let me see if I can find that holotape. Or it's a note, I can't remember. And that's why I like playing in a Fallout world, because I'm not currently trying to run back to my body right now after having been shot in the face with a missile launcher. Hopefully Gleaming Depths will... Again, I've not actually done anything with the Gleaming Depths content before, so I'm actually going into this completely fresh. I'm looking forward a lot to seeing what's actually in there. I know it has something to do with the Enclave, more so specifically than anything because of the bot at the front entrance to this place, which is an Enclave bot. So it'll be interesting to see. I want to know if there's anything mole miner related in there, because I've been hoping for more mole miner content. Specifically, information on their origins. Like, I've talked about this before. I think they're mostly Garahan miners, and I've been hoping that at some point we'll end up finding, basically, one of the Garahans effectively be king of these mole miners. Just picking stuff up so it'll stop beeping more than anything. There we go. Oop. All right. Lieutenant Thomas's action report. Lieutenant Thomas action report, March 10th, 2095 at 9:40 p.m. Mission number 23, target Brim Quarry. So, yeah. Okay. This is definitely the one. Again, this was 2095. So this is about a year and a half before the end of the world to the scorching. Speculation that the mole miners were originally children. I don't know. I mean, they definitely were miners. At least that's the way it seems to me because of the fact that they're wearing mining equipment. But anyway, let's see here. Yes, Garrett, Dustin, and Omar and myself begin our assault on Brim Quarry at sunset approximately 7:15 today. Our scout reports indicated an amount of hostiles that are too close for our peace of mind. We encountered moderate numbers of, well, we aren't sure what to make of them. They appear to be bipeds wearing those old heavy miner suits. Again, 2095, this is the first time they seemingly encountered mole miners, which tells me that for the most of the time between the bombs and the scorching, there was no encounter. There were no encounters between the responders, the normal survivors, the unmutated survivors, and the mole miners. They grunt and shriek like monsters, but we find wallets, keys, watches. I don't know if I'll ever understand all the horrors of this new world. Results: camp at the quarry's summit was secured, all hostiles eliminated, one casualty, Garrett. Dustin tried to console us, said it was likely painless, gone before he hit the ground. Still, he had just turned 20. The guy didn't know anything beyond this hell of a world. It made him strong, just a kid, but willing to fight and die to help others. He deserved better. I expected the fire to draw the rest of them at the top of the quarry, but nothing came. Like other reports indicate, they don't seem to feel or care about anything. They can't be human, or at least not anymore. We buried Garrett near the crates in the shipping yard. It was the least we could do for him. At sunrise, we attacked the enemies uphill. The team knows what we'll find up there. Before this, I was a fire lieutenant in Charleston, and the first thing we taught the rookies was to walk into the flames fearlessly. It's something I've tried to instill in the fire breathers and my squad. Whatever flames are at the top of this quarry, we'll be ready. I'm pretty sure you find all of them dead up on the hill. But yeah, Garrett, again, that kind of little story right there, it reminds me, like just in that moment, reminded me of Lori from the second season of Walking Dead, where she's thinking about how Carl's going to experience the world after the zombie apocalypse. Where it's like, as adults, they have great memories of the world before everything went to hell, but Carl has very few memories of that kind of thing. And he was talking about he's got a kid that's in 2095, 20 years old, meaning he was a kid. He was literally 2 years old when the bombs came down. There's no memory he's going to have of the world before the bombs. And it's interesting how in this game you encounter both so many people that were adults before the bombs, and you encounter people that grew up after the bombs, and so it's just kind of like you get a full mix of the whole thing. And you get a lot of people where they have no concept of the world the way it was before all this happened. So, interesting stuff. Then we got a Mothman cult shrine up there. On the sides of Blair Mountain here. Anniversary of the Battle of Blair Mountain was the other day, I believe. Big dispute between laborers and mine officials, actually resulting in like full-scale combat, to where the government had to send in troops and planes and stuff like that. All right. Keeping on going through the ash heap. What else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else in the news that's pertinent to what's going on here. I mean, honestly, the biggest stuff this week has got to be the Xbox Game Pass price increase. I subscribed to it for a short period of time. Basically, when I got my Xbox Series X, it was so that I could give my father-in-law my old Xbox One X. Because I had actually given him originally my original Xbox One. I got that one with it. That actually came with the Kinect. That was that original package of Xbox One. I mean, Xbox Ones, I mean. I hate the Xbox naming scheme, by the way. I have an original Xbox in my closet behind me here. I've got an Xbox 360. I actually bought like 2 Xbox 360s. I think the first one failed over time, and I maybe bought the better one. I can't remember. But then I got the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, and that's what I've got over here on my desk. And to just give you a hint here, I'm not someone who's like ignored PlayStation. I have a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4 Pro. Yeah, you had the one with the Kinect. I still feel like it's weird that the Kinect kind of got abandoned, just because like it was an amazing piece of technology. The fact that it would just do everything that it did with 2 cameras. You didn't have to have a Wiimote or anything like that. I think it maybe just didn't have enough applications made for it and just didn't have enough reach, because it did add like another $100 to the sale price of the console, which I think that was a lost leader sort of situation, because the tech that was in that I think was more expensive than that. But I do remember there being one fun little application with that, which was that I think it was with Alien Isolation. I know Alien Isolation, like, I think even with a PC has it so you can set it up to where your mic is on, and so if you're making too much noise in the room, the alien will hear you. But I'm pretty sure the Kinect even had a situation where like you could use it to like peek around corners and stuff like that using your emotions, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I got the Game Pass temporarily for the Xbox Series X when I got it, and just as a way to allow my wife to play some games, so we didn't have to buy a whole bunch of them. But yeah, the whole $360 a year thing is kind of ridiculous. Just as a subscription fee. Alright. I wonder, like, how they choose which posters to leave up and which... I think that all they've done here is just added a new board. Because originally, this was the very first poster here, the Pie Muse Wild Eviction Party. Then it came the Sheep Squatch poster, and then the shelters. I saw some people today discussing whether or not, what's it called, Fallout 76 was canon. And to me, there's no question as to whether or not the game as a whole is canon. I do think that everything on the Atomic Shop is not. And to go along with that, I do think that the shelters are not. I mean, if you don't even go with the mechanics of the shelters, I still don't think the shelters are canonical. It's like it's too much of a thing that we would have seen elsewhere if that was actually a thing. But yeah, the rest of the stuff I believe is actually canonical material that we've gotten out of this stuff. Both the Nuka Shine stuff here, the Sheep Squatch stuff here, the responders to retaking the White Spring. And then along with that, all the stuff in Atlantic City and all that kind of stuff. Hey Mal, good to see you. Text chat in the game is borked. Here you are. What are we doing? We are just wandering around, well, the Ash Heap currently. Talking at the moment about, well, a little bit about the game there and whether or not the game's canonical, which I believe it is. And again, only the stuff from the Atomic Shop. And the shelters are not. Probably a couple other things in that list. The seasonal stuff, obviously, also not canonical. Like, some of the stuff within the season might be canonical. Let's go open up the season, and again, can't remember if I've got the music turned on or not. So yeah, individual items in here are probably canonical items that existed within the Fallout universe, but whether or not there'd be any reason for you to actually get them. Cosmic Knife, wasn't this something from Dead Money? Am I misremembering that? I remember there being... No. Was it Old World Blues? Where there's a knife that has like a heating element in it? Oh yeah, Saturday Night Bowling Ball. Yeah, I've not done any of the seasonal stuff this season. But yeah, this stuff is definitely callbacks to stuff out of Fallout New Vegas. I've been entirely focused on other things than this kind of stuff this year. Well, this season, I should say. Because I think this is... I don't know if I'm misremembering this. The 23rd season that they've done? Does it say anywhere on here? Yeah, I don't know. Regardless. Yeah, the game's canonical. Some of the stuff within it is not. But along with that, we were talking about Game Pass and the price increase there. And I was saying this a little bit earlier. I don't understand the people that defend a 50% price increase and like attack the people that complain about it. It's such a weird thing to do. It's that meme of do I not have a face mask with me? I got the hazmat suit, I guess. That meme of, I love this hazmat suit though. Looks like something Evel Knievel would wear if he had to wear a hazmat suit. Anyway, that meme of the neckbeard guy with the 2 knives. Stay away from the billion-dollar corporation. It's like Microsoft has, I think I've heard recently, is a $5 trillion market cap. It's like, guys, stop hurting. Just leave Microsoft alone. It's like, it's like yesterday, literally yesterday, I was complaining about. Oh, sorry about that. Again, I wish I could turn off the whole automatic event thing.
Rioting will not be tolerated. Whole Light Mining Company protection protocols have been engaged. Security units on site. All unauthorized personnel are advised to immediately leave the area or else risk dire consequences. This will be your only warning.
Just yesterday, literally just yesterday, I was in the Starfield Discord. Starfield Collective, Starborn Collective, one of those things, Discord. Basically, and I was doing a little bit of complaining about the really overly enthusiastic PlayStation defenders that this past year have just been like weirdly awful. And then today, I get the opposite from the Xbox guys, where they like hardcore, die-hard Xbox guys, where they're like, "What are you complaining about?" Yeah. Gives them the control they feel they have lost by having to pay for the pass. Yeah. It's just like, guys, it's okay to make some complaints about your side. It's not always going to be the case that everything that the company that you generally are like working with, like just because they do something that, just because you like them doesn't mean that you have to walk in lockstep with them on everything. No, yeah, I thought I saw another one over there. There's Brommel. Let's head up to Brommel. It's been a while since I've been to Brommel. I always do wonder who exactly that last mega mansion was being built for, the collapsed one. I think that maybe it was CEO Kilson for Atomic Mining Services, but you never know. Because we know the Garahan Mansion and we know the Hornwright Mansion. Kilson was the head of AMS. And it would only make sense that as the new guy on the block for mining companies in Appalachia, that he would have been interested in getting his own mega mansion to kind of show off. But I don't think it's ever actually stated who had the unfinished mansion. But yeah, it was destroyed by the rioters before it was actually finished. Alright, there it is, and you can see the remains of the wreckage down there from what was being built. Now we can go up to one of these. The strange thing to me about these things, like, I get entirely what the whole goal here is. They're trying to get up above the world below, where all the war, well, not the war, but the unrest and pollution and all that kind of stuff is. Like, obviously there's still going to be some air pollution up there, but it probably is something where it would be lessened to a degree. But the thing I don't get is the decoration style on the inside is so bizarre. It does not feel to me like the color scheme. What is this color scheme here? It's like Attic Ochre and what is that? What is that? Indigo? No, I don't. Let's see here. Can't find the key card. I've got the key card. I thought it did. Really? I don't have the key card? This character must not have the key card. Gotta go over to the mining headquarters. That's Primer. Yeah.
Approach and identify. identify yourself.
This feels more
Law-abiding
built up than I
citizens
remember.
will-
In terms of the protest here, I feel like I would have remembered that. I don't think that always has been there. I'll have to look into that. Baltic color scheme. Well, yeah, except for it's kind of more purple to me than blue. They got more of it here too. Again, yeah, it is obviously it's got some. It's like it's a blue purple sort of a thing. Yeah, I was gonna say that I do not remember that trailer having been there. Let's go find Vivian Garahan's office and get a key. Always like the Garahan Mining Company offices. Built into the ground. There we go, Garahan Estate access key card. Suffering from sludge lung. I've always wondered if these are, like, I know there are new diseases, but I have always wondered as well if there are some diseases that they've simply renamed because they, you know, it's like they got people that don't have any actual medical training, but they're trying to, like, become doctors in the new world. But it's like, is sludge lung actually pneumonia or black lung or some weird combination of the two? I mean, I did get it the second I stepped into the fumes of the ash heap, so... Let's see here. Alright, let's head up there. I do, like, it's one of those things where it's like, the game's obviously an online-only game, but at the same time, I'm in my Fallout world, which means I'm literally the only person here. It'd be lovely if I had the ability to wait, and so I could advance this today. I was talking about this with somebody recently where it's like, if they do, like, they should release the Fallout world as basically the single-player version of the game. Anyway. Or hell, you could do co-op with people. It's one of those things where, we've talked about this a little bit before, but I never was the biggest fan of Nuclear Winter. But I know a lot of people have requested that it come back at some point. But it's one of those things where I think a lot of people don't consider the fact that the reason why Nuclear Winter was done away with. Just because effectively with Nuclear Winter and the base game, you had two different content streams that had to be produced because they are not... There were probably some overlaps, but they were not the same content that was being produced in terms of like story content for their Fallout 76, and then along with that, having to produce additional stuff for the Nuclear Winter mode. Again, some overlap, but not full overlap. So by dropping Nuclear Winter and going on just to do Fallout Worlds, effectively all they streamlined their process. All they have to do is produce stuff for the main game, and then people can use it in their Fallout world. So I get that there are people out there that want to see that come back. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Alright. So yeah, again, I get the thought process here. You're trying to get up and above the noise and the pollution of the that you've created, in most cases here, because these are the mining families. You're trying to get up and above that, but like the color schemes, they're so strange. Like this purple-yellow theme. It's such an odd mix. I will always love the picture of Todd crossing the Alps. I have to assume that this is what the, like, ultra-modern architecture of the time was. But even so, the color scheme is just ugly. And it's also maybe the case that if you were seeing it without all of the cracked enamel on the walls, without the rust peeking through, with the lighting conditions being correct, maybe it wouldn't be as ugly. Yeah. It is Todd Howard astride that horse. It is also great, though, that they have a full-scale shooting range in here, including a little bit of cut lore. If you watched my video on Brommel, I gotta remake it at some point because the quality is just not as good. And part of it is like I spend the first 5 minutes talking about how I'm changing the way I do videos, which is not something I should have been doing in the video itself. But regardless, I talk in that a little bit about the cut content, where you can find the old terminal entries and holotapes and stuff like that that never made it into the game. And a lot of it was for members of the Garahan family that just didn't make the cut for some reason. And one of them was a guy who's responsible actually for all the sloths being in the game, and that actually is still in here, I believe. Like, technically speaking, it's one of those things where they wanted to include it because they found fossilized remains of a mega sloth not far from, like somewhere in Appalachia. But along with that, they added the reasoning for it with a note or a holotape or something like that. I think it's still in the game. Where basically one of the members of the Garahan family, which again was this quite wealthy family, this mining magnate family, one of the members was obsessed with sloths, and so he kept them in cages up here within the Mega Mansion. Maybe, I'm not going to say that it's not here after doing 2 seconds of searching, but I can't remember whether or not it was actually in the game or not. This, again, if you've ever wondered why it is I don't do mod content, it's because, like, even just a brief examination of cut content, I can't tell you whether or not it was something that was actually in the game or not. And so, okay, again, one of the members of one of the sons of the Garahans was obsessed with sloths. The other was basically like full-scale anti-worker, to the point where he actually bought himself a minigun that he went to go use to fight the miners when they were striking. So while most of the Garahan family was basically like trying to find the best way forward to ensure that they employed as many miners as possible for as long as possible, while Hornwright was doing everything they could to replace them with auto miners, there was still, again, not within the lore anymore, a member of the Garahan family that was very much on the Hornwright side of things, and actually did an amount of fighting himself with his brand new minigun that he took out to the Rockhound in order to do some fighting. But again, cut content didn't make it into the game, which is unfortunate. And of course, there's the whole big Romeo and Juliet story there with Penelope Hornwright and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, Garahan, where they were in love and going to go live a life together when the world came to an end. Okay, yeah, so we've been here before. Let's get up to the roof. I do love that the character always has this very basic level of understanding of every instrument in the world. Plays the same song every single time they get on that same instrument. But again, they can always play a little bit of every instrument. Again, I can see the vision here. It's just the fact that the color scheme is as bad as it is. It really trips me up. Oh. I also do wonder how the feral ghouls got up here, unless we're supposed to assume that maybe these were people that fled up here and have simply been living up here, got ghoulified by the radiation. But at the same time, I mean, the door is locked to get up here until you go get a key card. So I don't know. I don't know how they got up here. There's a Wendigo up here, too. I can't remember if we killed it already or not. Yeah, the Hornwrights have a similar upper level, except for they've got a jet plane suspended from the ceiling. Oh, you assumed it was the help. Oh, interesting thought. You'd think that the Hornwrights, at the very least, and this is the Garahan house, so it's not saying anything. Do you think that the Hornwrights would have gone full-scale automation as much as they could, to where they've got, you know, Protectrons handling the butler service and stuff like that? Yeah, they got... This looks like a flying car up here. Let's see here. Alan Garahan. I think Bryce was the one who was with Penelope Hornwright. Home Sweet Home. Actually, this might be the stuff where he talks about his gun. We'll see. Well, here I am, back at home with a family. Ugh, what did I do to deserve this? I should have been more careful. If I hadn't run through Dad's money like I did, I'd be living on some tropical island somewhere and not back in Colesville. Damn it, investment advice my ass. Well, I guess I should be grateful to Aunt V for taking me in at least, but I don't know if I don't even have my own room. I'm stuck slumming it on Cousin Bryce's party couch until God knows when. Yuck. Sent you 2 screenshots in the Discord with a pre-war look mod. Let me take a look. There it is. Oh. Screenshots. Oh. What it might look like cleaned up. That does look significantly better, I'll say that. But again, the paint scheme seems different between this and what you find in the game. But it definitely looks pretty good. New security measure. There we go. Yep. Well, Aunt finally threw some work my way. Guess she got tired of me taking up space in her hot tub. The company just got a delivery of some prototype anti-robot machines of some kind, but they're insane. She doesn't want to do anything with them, so now it falls to me to dump them somewhere. Did the guys in R&D really expect us to sabotage the Hornwrights by electrocuting ourselves with these contraptions? Good grief. And a fortunate encounter. I found some sucker to offload the anti-robot things on. At least I think he's a sucker. He made... Oh yeah, this is what they added with the Sheep Squatch content. I can't remember specifically what that update was called. Yeah, the original paint scheme looks horrid. That's probably what the mod makers went with a different colorize. Yeah. Well, he cooped me out and he paid me well. Now I'm done with his business and I'm spending money to boot. With spending money to boot. It doesn't sound like Aunt V much cares what I did with those machines. She's got a lot on her mind, I guess. Yeah, Mr. Wolf. So yeah, this is definitely related to the Sheep Squatch stuff. Look at this. They got this little viewing stand here, put in a quarter, and you can use the binoculars. And then along with that, they got the 3 full hot tubs up here, where you can stand in them and see out. Oh yeah, at some point I will actually need to cover Nuka World on Parade. I should put that in the poll next time. Because that is another thing I haven't covered. I've got this weird aversion to Nuka-Cola related novelty content. I have no idea why. But I've talked about this before. But the whole thing where it's like, I was very much not excited about the Nuka World content when that was originally announced for Fallout 4. And then when I actually got into it and played it, I enjoyed it. But there was something about how unserious it seemed that made me not all that interested in going into it. I don't know, I prefer the, I guess, more dire stakes that come with things like the Brotherhood of Steel and the Enclave and stuff like that. Let's see here, can I actually go to the roof? No. Does that go down to... I gotta get rid of those screenshots that are basically just a jump scare. What was that? It's a letter N. From what? Oh. Brad. Us. Vargets? Where did the N go in there? Or was it a U? Gaddis? I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, there's more letters here missing as well. There's a P and a Y? Or is that a B? Or a D? I don't know. If I had more time, I'd look into that. It's been a while since I've encountered this content. Do enjoy the cuckoo clocks you can find across Appalachia. Yeah, it's probably the Latin name for the sloth. Let's go to the Hornwright Mansion. And here we get to experience another reason why I love my Fallout world. There we go. Alright. That makes filming so much more fun. You're not constantly afraid that your character's going to die the second they fall off some like setup that you've built in order to get a shot from high up. Now, of course, you saw that Garahans had a little bit going on at the base of their tower. Hornrats don't seem to have too much of anything going on here, except for it looks like they were clearing away the remains of a protest there when the bombs came. Block the bot. You can see that there was actually stuff going on within the lobby of the actual house itself. Brady posts are the three-toed sloth? Okay. Well, there you go. Thank you. Let's check out the... Yeah, this is a vertebrate landing pad out here. Are you hostile? Yes.
Please, stand.
Well, like I said, we'll see whether if there are ghouls up here, then we can assume that they just got in. But if there are no ghouls up here, then yeah, we can basically just go ahead and assume that that was the help for the Garahans. So good supposition there. Well, I hear ghouls. We'll see whether or not we see them. But same color scheme. Different structure on the interior. Which makes it sense entirely. I would expect these things to effectively have the same exterior, but be completely modular on the inside for whatever the needs of the specific family were. Got a pumpkin pie there. I've always been so weirded out by that, because it's not like pumpkin pie keeps all that well, you know? It's not like it rots in like a day, but at the same time, it's been years. No, sorry. Welcome to the stream, Derek Mihawk? No, this is not from the PTS. This is the, these are the Mega Mansions. I don't think, so I've been burned on this before, to an extent, because, I did the PTS for Wastelanders, I think. And basically, there's like a thing you have to like sign when you go into it where it's like, I'm not going to talk about this stuff on the internet. I'm not going to take screenshots or footage. I'm not going to show anybody. And I followed it. But then the game launches, and immediately everyone else is like, and look, here's all this stuff. And it's like, so this stuff really means nothing. So the whole thing of like, not spilling the beans on what you find in the PTS, that's really not something they care about. It's just something that I happen to follow, but no one else did. But yeah, no, technically speaking, you're not really supposed to be showing anything from the PTS. Yeah. So I think that it's something they still enforce during the PTS actual time period, but I don't think they care once it actually launches. So no, I'm definitely looking forward to that content. Get to see Ohio. Basically just having them open up more regions in the map. I've talked about this a little bit before, but I really am concerned about what happens if they keep us too locked into Appalachia, as the game was when it launched in 2018. Damn morals and ethics. Because like when they launched the ghoul content, and they're just like, all right, so we found a brand new bunker. It's like, okay, I mean, we've been here for a while. You keep finding these brand new bunkers all over the place, and they're like, it's Silo Delta. And it's like, I've been to the command center where they have all the information for Silos Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. There was no information on Silo Delta. What is this? It's just like, I've got this bad feeling that if they kept it entirely locked down to Appalachia, that would be like, guys, we found a brand new Enclave bunker. It's like, okay, that's like the 15th. Is this entire thing just Enclave bunkers? That's so again why I'm glad they're expanding the map. Never even finished the base game. Yeah, well, it's been a lot of improvements since the game launched. I would highly recommend it if you haven't. A lot of content, and most of it's pretty good. Let's see here.
Area
Oh,
secure.
there we go. Bot pods. Robot workshop. Definitely one thing you cannot accuse the Hornwrights of is basically being absentee rulers of their company, to where basically they just profit from it from a distance. No, they were in the thick of it day and night. Both Daniel Hornwright and his daughter Penelope. Different parts of the company they were working in, but they were both 100% involved in the day-to-day operations of the company.
Identify yourself.
Daniel was directly involved in some R&D work, while Penelope was doing operations. She was really heavily involved when the automation riots were taking place, and was trying to basically protect the company from the liability that came from what AMS did down in Welch. Alright, yeah, so here we are again on the top floor of one of these things. Again, the general structure is very, very similar, but there are some differences on the interior. And then along with that, we've got even more of these things. I think there's more of a balcony on this one than there was on the Garahan Mansion. Let's take a look. Yeah. You can see that most of the Garahan stuff was on the front and on, like, over there. And along with that, the Hornwrights also had the vertibird landing pad, which I don't remember seeing on the Garahan Mansion. Unless maybe that was on the Garahan Mansion and I'm just misremembering it. No, there it is. Okay. Then we got all these rings here that were carrying the monorail between the Garahan mining headquarters and Watoga. Interesting link there. Like, the idea that they decided to do this. I assume that basically this was running to Brommel. And so... No, yeah, okay, well, if they were ever going to give us a pilotable vertibird, they'd have to give us, like, a... 76 would be the place to give it to us, because we've got this massive landscape here to explore, but it is definitely one of those things where as soon as you get an aerial vehicle, it really shrinks the map. It's just something you really, really notice when you play a game that has both land and air vehicles. Like, okay, think about it like this. Grand Theft Auto 5. The second you really get access to an airplane, like, it really shrinks how large the GTA area is, like the San Andreas area is, I mean. Because you can fly basically anywhere on the island in a matter of minutes. And, like, technically you can really kind of do that on the ground, too, driving fast enough on the highways. But it's definitely something you feel a lot more when you're driving compared to flying. I talk about this a little bit in my video, and I've talked about it many times before, the upcoming Wilson Automatoys video. I so wish they would give us rideable robotic horses at some point. We will see. I've been wanting it for a long time. And the closest we get to it is something like the Giddy Up Buttercup. Because my understanding is horses are extinct within the Fallout universe. So if they could just give us some robotic ones, that'd be great. But anyway, the monorail line here, I don't think it actually, even though it does basically park right out at the Garahan headquarters, I think that this thing is supposed to be rideable Protectrons, yeah. Or sentry bots. Basically just like take off the top. Turn them into like a cart you can ride along. But I think this effectively connects Brommel to Watoga, which would make sense because, again, I think Brommel was effectively going to be the home of the mining magnates in the same way that it was back in the late 19th century, I believe. I talked about this in my video on Brommel. Brommel, West Virginia, was for a time the town with the most millionaires per capita in the entire country. So, I'm just using dragon. Yeah, no, 100%. That was my main complaint too. Is like they have horse riding mechanics within the engine. That's the thing. Bethesda has done horse riding before in both Oblivion and Skyrim. And I still remember the first time my mom saw me playing Oblivion. This is back in '06. And okay, here's the fun thing. I had a... Hey, Not Darwin, welcome to the stream. I had an Xbox 360 that I was not supposed to have. Because I had actually gone out and gotten a Costco membership myself so that I could go get it. So I bought it. And she came into the room while I was playing Oblivion. She didn't comment on the fact that I had a console that I wasn't supposed to have. Yes, secret Xbox. But she grew up riding horses as a kid, like, because she grew up in Southeast Asia and South Asia, because her dad was basically the he was in the Navy, and so she grew up riding horses, and she loved seeing the way the character rode the horses in Oblivion. Like, she thought it looked great. So it's one of those things where, again, this is secondhand knowledge, but like, from someone who loved riding horses as a kid, when she saw a character riding a horse in Oblivion and she thought it looked great. It's one of those things where it's like, they did a good job there. Have you done a video on this? What do you think about Appalachia looks like now? I have not actually done a video on that. So yeah, we can talk about that. Real quick here, because basically I think what we'll do is I'll give you a few quick announcements here again, and then we'll talk about that as basically the last thing, because that topic should probably take 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll probably close things out after that. So I will give you the quick announcements real quick, which is, again, Wilson Automatoys video. I will finish it either late tonight or early tomorrow. Either way, I will have it out again on YouTube as soon as it's done. Well, shortly after it's done. And then I will immediately begin work on the Gleaming Depths video. And again, if I finish the Gleaming Depths video in this month, then I will move on to Crimson Caravan. No, sorry, not Crimson Caravan. Blue Ridge Caravan Company Part 2. Those were the two that won the polls. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing that one with y'all. Okay, so Oh, and one last thing. Again, I'm now a G Fuel affiliate. So, and I was just drinking this stuff earlier. It's good. It's the Hula Colada. And yeah, so if you use my code iCartographer with G Fuel, you can see it in the description for this stream as well. You'll get a discount, and it's a way to support the channel as well. So anyway, oh, and one last thing on that. I will probably be doing a longer stream on Fallout Day. And at that point, if everything goes right, I should be able to do a giveaway of G Fuel's Nuka-Cola flavor. So, yes, that too. Mal's on the Discord all the time. We have discussions there, share screenshots. I occasionally share pictures of the car that I'm currently working on. Regardless. So, let's talk about basically what I think is the overall long-term fate for Appalachia. So, I've got multiple theories as to how this all goes, and some of them are even actually pre-Wastelanders theories that I've had on this stuff. Not pre-Wastelanders, pre-Brotherhood of Steel, I believe. So, my original, sincere hope for the world was this. And this is actually definitely post-Wastelanders, pre-Brotherhood of Steel. I was hoping that what would happen is that the Settlers of Foundation and the Raiders of the Crater, given that the Raiders of the Crater are still Raiders, but they're not anywhere near as bad as normal Raiders. My hope was that what would eventually happen was that the Raiders of the Crater would effectively become a military force, while the Settlers would be the agricultural, engineering, manufacturing force of a new combined, Appalachian Republic, Empire, whatever you want to go with. And that they would actually use the automation of Appalachia, which was ahead of the curve for the entire rest of the country, and that they would use the ultrasite here to basically power a real power to be contended with in the post-apocalypse of the Fallout universe. Now, the hope as to how to explain how this could exist while you've got the capital wasteland sitting off over here is that my way of explaining that away was basically they would look north, west, and east and see everything being kind of ruined wasteland. And what they would want to do is expand to the southwest, get to more of the greener parts of Appalachia, parts of the United States where there was far less of a reason to do any nuking. Ohio, Pennsylvania, there's all kinds of industry going on up there. It's entirely understandable why, in the course of a nuclear war, you would see a lot of bombing, especially in the Fallout universe where Pittsburgh was not part of the Rust Belt. Pittsburgh was still blowing and going, producing industrial strength, industrial war material for the war effort against the Chinese. So, again, the idea would be that they start off here, and hey, Haley, welcome to the stream, and they expand to the southwest. Like to see settlers and raiders utilize workshops. Yeah. Well, you do see a little bit of that going on. Obviously, they don't do any of the building like we do when we utilize them, but they do hang around some sites. And, okay, yeah, they don't do the workshops. They hang around sites like Marigold Pavilion, and they're clearly like doing some work there and stuff like that. But regardless, the whole idea was that they would expand southwest into the territory that was mostly unsettled, but also mostly undestroyed. And so they would basically build up Meg Romance. They would build up an empire going that way. And then my hope with that was that with Fallout 5, now I could easily see Fallout 5 being in New York City, given you got Fallout 3 in DC and Fallout 4 in Boston. So Fallout 5 being in New York City would be kind of perfectly located to be between the two of them. But I also have loved the idea of like a Fallout New Orleans. Yeah, Weasel. With her voice box. So, yeah, I would have loved to see them expand down towards New Orleans. And effectively, I was imagining kind of like the first thing that comes to mind is like a little bit of kind of Fallout New Vegas sort of a situation. But basically, the idea would be that New Orleans would be an independent city. And you've got the Appalachian Republic, Appalachian Empire, whatever you want to call it, the long descended form that comes from the settlers and raiders of Appalachia working together to build this industrial empire with the industrial might of the automation and ultrasite of Appalachia that's worked by the settlers and turned into weapons used by the raiders, who are now the soldiers for this empire, to expand south and west all the way down to New Orleans and like basically claim a coastal city that they can then use. Obviously, New Orleans is not on the coast itself, but you basically like claim this southern gem, and then you start expanding out from there, and then maybe they go even further from there. It's harder and harder to see how they could possibly have something that successful and still have it not be referenced within Fallout 3. And that's the thing, because we've been to the Capital Wasteland, because it's so close, because we've been to even the pit within 2077, it's hard to imagine there being anything seriously built up in Appalachia by that time. New Ohio map takes a lot of inspiration from New Vegas and Fallout 3's map. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing exactly what that's like. And like I was saying before you got on, I'm looking forward to making videos on the towns that they're putting into Ohio there. So looking forward to covering all that stuff. We all die here. Yeah. So I've seen people speculate potentially that it's going to be Modus, basically turning into Skynet and killing everybody. I could easily see that being the case. Along with that, my personal pet theory as to what happens is that if we explored it last time, that if you go into, yeah, Mr. Otis, who's working with Orlando at the resort, I would not be even slightly surprised as well, and again, this is my own personal theory, to find that the depleted ultrasite reaction, which is a very destructive, explosive reaction, ends up destroying the Appalachia. Because of what the companies did, basically all over Appalachia with the atomic mining, thanks to Atomic Mining Services, where they were doing subterranean atomic blasts in order to produce ultrasite. And if you're unaware, ultrasite and depleted ultrasite have an explosive reaction when they come into contact with each other. So I can easily see that being something where Appalachia is effectively like complete ruins by the end of it. Hey Davies, 8392, welcome to the stream. Yeah, no, 100%. Because again, this is stuff that's popped up here more recently. This is stuff they added to the game later. But if you're unaware of what happened to Welch, this was the result of, and again, I think this is actually something that's changed that I'll have to study a little bit more, because now I think Gleaming Depths is directly connected to what happened in Welch. But at the time the game was launched, what happened here was Atomic Mining Services was doing their atomic mining over at the testing site. I believe, or was it? Well, it was one of the yeah, right there, AMS testing site. And basically, what they were doing was they were dropping nukes into the ground, blowing them up, seeing what they could get out of it. And now they thought basically that it wasn't working. And then one day, an ultrasite vein exploded into the city of Welch. City is kind of a stretch these days, but oh, well, I'm glad that you like the content that I produce. And welcome to the stream. If I didn't say that already, I think I said that. Sorry, I'm in midstream here, so I sometimes forget what I've said. So basically, yeah, Welch was destroyed by ultrasite. And again, it would be entirely reasonable to expect that with there being the explosive reaction between ultrasite and depleted ultrasite, that as more ultrasite turns depleted, and then eventually you get more and more depleted and non-depleted coming into contact, you end up with something blowing up here. I definitely want something more mole miner related. Like I was saying earlier, I'm going to be covering Gleaming Depths here. I know nothing about Gleaming Depths other than that it is something Enclave related. So I'm considering that there might be something mole miner related in there. I don't know if there is or not. But I'm looking forward to covering that content. Oh yeah, the nuke mission's good. If you're looking for how to decrypt the nuke codes, I have a video on that specifically. So yeah, that's the underlying interaction between ultrasites. Yeah, exactly. So that's my whole thing here, is that that's what my view as to what will happen, is that you have ultrasite underlaying, at the very least we've got it down here. We know it's down here in the ash heap. We know there's a lot of it beneath the white spring. If you go to the deeps, we'll go to the deep real quick. Actually, I think it's quicker from here. I don't know. I might have to find the trapdoor from here. We'll see. But the deep underlying the white spring filled with ultrasite, like a lot of ultrasite. The entire area under the cranberry bog filled with ultrasite. So I think it's entirely the case that what we're going to end up seeing is just a detonation there. And who knows, it could even be something where it's a combination of things. Where, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to find the trapdoor. It's somewhere around here. Let's just go to the deep. Yeah, ultrasite at every fissure site as well. And it's one of those things where it's like, do all those connect? Because if they do, because we've got an ultrasite fissure right there. We've got an ultrasite fissure. Where is it? It's not on the map, but there's like another one right up here. They're all over the place. They're all over the cranberry bog especially. But basically everywhere that there's a fissure site, there's another one, yep, right there. Then that's potentially a connection directly to the source of all the ultrasite. So again, it could even be a combination of two things where Modus goes full Skynet and maybe even accesses some of the Enclave's orbital weapon systems and uses them to basically accidentally potentially even set off a chain reaction that causes the full-scale destruction of all of Appalachia. But yeah, we'll go into the deep here because it's such a stunning visual when you get to the hidden Chinese base. Saw the Gleaming Depths the other day. Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing with Gleaming Depths is I'm going to have to use 2 computers at a time to get in there. Luckily, I got my wife's computer sitting just to my left here. And she's got Fallout 76 as well. I tried to get her into it, but she got kind of bogged down with all of the holotapes and flatwoods and kind of got bored, which like is literally the experience I've seen people have online. Again, I love that they put so much content into the game in terms of like back lore and stuff like that, but I think they probably should have considered that a lot of people just getting into this game probably would not have been terribly interested in the holotapes about boiling water and properly cooking meat. Again, I'm glad all that stuff's there. It gives us a real slice of life of what was going on. But at the same time, I fully understand how that is like a massive slamming on the brakes. There's another little, what's it called? Lovecraftian creature there. Glass latch. But yeah, I'll be using that computer and the one I'm currently on right now in order to record the stuff in the Gleaming Depths. Because you go in there by yourself, and the sentry bot that you encounter at the very beginning does nothing but target you constantly. So and you can only shoot this thing in the back to actually damage it. So I look forward to actually getting into it. Here we go. I mean, look at that. so creepy. I think this whole slow-moving hand thing and like the slow-moving limbs is a way that Bethesda basically fixed the crazy physics that would sometimes come with skeletons, to where they would like start twitching and then they'd fly across the room. And basically what they did was, I think they slowed down the physics reaction with it. But what it ends up doing is it kind of makes the creature look like it's alive, because like it looks like it's moving the hands. But yeah, again, if you're concerned that there's not enough ultrasight to potentially trigger an Appalachia destroying reaction, and hell, it could even be the case that Modus doesn't even go crazy, but Modus, being an Enclave AI, targets the Chinese that are sitting right below it over here, and ends up blowing the entirety of Appalachia sky high accidentally, in the process of just trying to deal with this Chinese invasion force. As I've stated before, I so sincerely regret that they did not use Mount Weather for the weather machine that they prototyped at the Atlas Observatory. 18 berries in the cave, huh? Yeah, Mama Dolce is down here. Okay. Again, if you're unaware of what Mount Weather is, it's a real-world facility that's found in Virginia, just south of some of the actual areas that we explore here in Appalachia. And it's the home of the emergency broadcasting system. There's a fallout bunker there. It's the perfect site for an Enclave base. It's also, based on its name, the absolute perfect spot for a weather machine, but instead they decided to include that in Vault 63 instead. And again, like I've said in the past, I want more information on Vault 63 as well, and so much of the place seems to be blocked up. Like, the Vault 63 runs from its front door here all the way down here at Dark Hollow Manor. This is in a massively long vault. It's like, there's got to be so much to that place that we just simply haven't explored. Maybe we'll get some more content there in the future. It's honestly something that kind of keeps me from attempting to make a video on Vault 63. I'll make one eventually regardless of whether or not we get more information on it. But I could so easily see it being the case that there's more to Vault 63 that they release at some point in the future. Norfolk Naval Base, yeah, they could do that as well. Yep, I've heard that. That there's a... that it's teased at, what's it called? Rapidan Camp? Right down there. That, Norfolk Naval Base is teased down there. With the tech about Vault 63s. Yes. No. It's massive. There's a full-scale tram system that runs the length of this thing. And not only that, but they've got these other little outposts out here as well. Like, I feel like this Thunder Mountain substation is actually directly connected to it. Let's go ahead and fast travel there. That is one of the best things about Fallout 76, by the way, the fact you can fast travel from inside. Like, thank God. Because having to get out of the depths, the deep, I mean, in order to fast travel would be just annoying. Now, obviously, we could have gone a little bit deeper in and gotten to the... What's it called? I can't remember the name of it. That digging robot. The mother lode. We could have used the mother lode to travel outside, but I'm just so glad that they allow us to just travel, fast travel from within. But yeah, there's the wound in the sky up there. And yeah, this whole thing... Cut out the engineering section. Yeah. No, yeah, again, the weather machine, I wish they would have saved it for Mount Weather. And they could have introduced it with Night Shin trying to make contact with the West Coast, heading for the local headquarters, not local, the national headquarters that just happens to be local, of the emergency broadcasting system. If there was anybody that had the ability to contact somebody from across the country, it would be the emergency broadcasting system. You hear that sounds like a hermit crab, I assume you mean there? Alright, well, yeah. I think I'm going to close things out here. It's been great hanging with y'all again, and it's been great to talk to y'all. I love talking with y'all, actually. Again, if you missed it earlier, what we're going to be looking for tomorrow, either late tonight or tomorrow, is the video covering Wilson Automatoys and Fallout 4. And then after that, moving on to the Gleaming Depths. And again, if you're interested in supporting the channel, obviously I've got Patreon and YouTube memberships and all that stuff. But if you want to do it and get something physical out of it, you can go to G Fuel and use my code iCartographer, and you can get a discount, and then I also get a little bit of your payment there. So great way to support the channel and get something. I actually really, it's one of those things where it's like I would not actually sell something if I didn't appreciate the product itself, and I do actually like this stuff. So anyway, I hope you all have a good weekend. I will have a good week next week. Yes, thank you, Mal, for that. The G Fuel affiliate link is in the description. And again, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do a giveaway on October 23rd, Fallout Day. So we'll see how that all works out. But I hope you all have a good weekend and a good week next week. Before I see you all next Friday, should be October 10th? Yes. Next Friday, October 10th. I will see you all then. Hopefully be pretty deep into the Gleaming Depths video by that point. So, and hopefully I'll be driving my car again. We'll see. Again, prayers on that, because it could go horribly wrong. All right. Have a good weekend, y'all. Again, been great to hang out with y'all. Great to talk with everybody here.